does not want to let me share it on Instagram.
And we're live.
Sorry.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Usually I'd say we're here to talk Pinterest, but we're not. We are actually going to be talking all about the Google algorithm updates and the massive loss of traffic that so many blogs and creators are seeing. And I figured who other than Nina Clapperton of She Knows SEO, our resident SEO expert, to break it down for us. And hey, Nina, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Natalie, both in your physical house and also to talk all things SEO. Theo is currently being Natalie's foot warmer, so he is also in the building.
Yes, so excited. It's really fun to have you here in person, but also to help us through this, this grief. I feel like we are going to go through like all the stages of grief when it comes to organic search traffic. And, maybe you'll just get us to acceptance
I hope so.
in this hour. So if anyone has questions, I invite you to post those for us right here in the chat. But in case you are someone who has no idea what we're talking about, okay, what is the Google update? What are the changes? What even happened? Like that we need to discuss,
So I guess first things first, we're going to talk about SEO, which is search engine optimization. And that's essentially just like speaking Google's language. Now, Google was this like amazing traffic getter for so many years for so many people. But the problem became when Google decided they wanted to shift things around. And the first major update we had was the helpful content update back in September of 2023 that really shifted the way that we approach any of this. So with that update, we saw a lot of physical brands and e-commerce sites being prioritized. And around that same time, Google started to talk about something called SGE, which is Search Generative Experience, or Search Generative Engine. They kind of like went back and forth a bit. I don't actually know what they landed on because they don't use it anymore because they changed it again. And then we had the Google March update, and that update basically wiped out anyone who hadn't been hit by the first update in September. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't still sites that are showing up in search. I'm very fortunate to be one of them who 2 of my sites, no issues. 2 of my other sites, completely obliterated. And that's kind of a common story that I'm hearing from other people. So we also had something happen this week that was, we'd already agreed to do this live, and then suddenly Google was like, hey, why not throw another wrench in the works? 2 amazing SEOs, Rand Fishkin and Mike King, actually managed to get their hands on part of the Google algorithm. So it got leaked to them by somebody from Google posting it in a forum that they shouldn't have posted it in. And essentially we got think of it like we got the recipe, like all the ingredients in the recipe, but we didn't get the exact measurements of the ingredients for how the Google code actually works to show results in the search engine.
Yeah, I would say Marcus has it right. It's a nerve-wracking time.
100%.
100%, right? So this update really just, I think it's like a massive, like basically a meteor impact type of extinction event for, when it comes to us relying on this organic search. So if you're here with us, or even if you're watching the replay, I would just love to hear if you've been impacted and what do things look now post update, whether it was the September update or the May update, how are things faring, right? So it's a massive thing, right? Like we can't underplay how fundamentally the the system or the sphere of blogging has changed, right? Like, wouldn't you say this is almost like an extinction level event?
I think this is the biggest change we've ever had happen in Google in my time as a blogger. Now, I definitely think we had something a number of years ago called the Penguin update, and that was like the biggest thing at the time. People thought it was going to kill Google. And at the time, they didn't also have AI happening. So we've also got AI that we're dealing with. And I mentioned SGE a minute ago, but now they're calling it AI overviews. It's like a part of SGE, but they're really like narrowing down the language. So I feel like we are at this completely new sphere of like how blogging is going to work, how all of the online world is going to work really. And we've never had anything like this before. I would say the last thing that was like this big was probably the creation of the internet to some extent, and like every business getting a website. I mean, right now we see with AI, they're often calling it like, just like we had like the kind of tech boom and the web boom. Right now we have the AI boom where like every company is adding some sort of weird AI element that they don't really need. Like when I'm booking my Air Canada tickets, I don't care about speaking to a chat bot to get that done. I just want to use their system. But there's a lot of tools, especially in the blogging world, that you'll see recently have started rolling out some sort of AI component, and Google is no different. So they launched something that's called the AI overviews, and you can think of this like a featured snippet. So the featured snippet used to be a chunk of text that they would take from one of the results in the top 10 on Google, and then they would also like highlight that result so you would go to that website. Now this text was like verbatim what showed up on that website. So instead, the new thing that they're doing is the AI is trying to, so I'll say what they're alleging is happening, and then I'll say what actually is happening, because they're two very different things, unfortunately. But the first thing that's happening that they can claim the way that it works is they use their Gemini AI system to read all the top kind of 100 results on Google and figure out, okay, what's the answer to this person's question? Then it writes an answer, and then it kind of gives like 3 to 5 of its best sources. You can usually only really see 2 of them, but you can scroll to see the rest. And the point they claim is to encourage you to click and then read those sites. Now, we've already seen with featured snippets that like a lot of people just getting the answer immediately don't click to the sites. That was already an issue beforehand. But with this, it gives like the answer is not just 2 sentences. It will give you like half a blog post answer sort of thing. And then what's actually happening, which Lily Ray, an amazing SEO on Twitter, uncovered, is essentially it's generating an answer before it actually goes and searches for anyone to use as a source. And the problem with that is just like, I mean, I told my sister that and she was like, that's like me when I wrote essays. And I was like, yeah, and you failed most of your essays because you had no legitimate sources. And if you're just finding someone to like agree with what you say, that's not helpful to anybody. And what we're also seeing with AI overviews, it's very easy to game them and to rank for them, unfortunately, at this point. But with that, we're really seeing that it's choosing results that are not in the top 100. So in fact, what they're offering there that they're claiming is the best of the best are things that their algorithm said actually shouldn't be in the top 100. And sometimes are websites that don't exist, which has been very interesting.
Oh, AI.
Yeah.
Such... so intense. Yeah, we're having lots of great comments in the chat. So remember, if you guys have any questions, please just post and, interact with us. So a question that I have is, is SEO dead?
Yeah. So a lot of people have that question. I think is blogging dead is also kind of like just as prevalent. I like the way you phrase it though, because blogging and SEO are 2 very different things. And like Natalie is very much, she's my go-to Pinterest person as well. So like we know Pinterest is alive and well. I was looking at her traffic earlier. It is much more alive than many people's Google traffic is. And with SEO, I think we have a fundamental shift. And so initially, I believed that we had just like leveled up to a new version of a video game. Think of like Sims 3 versus Sims 4. And I know that's not really a video game, but I don't play video games. It's the best I've got. But essentially, it's a new interface. It was something new. Maybe we didn't like it to begin with, but we could kind of work with it once we figured it out.
Yeah.
Now it feels like it's a half-built video game, and you're set up to like always just have your character walking into the wall, and like you can't move them anywhere else. That is kind of what it feels like. Now, that being said, some of us are getting our characters away from the wall. So like my sites, my She Knows SEO and one of my Build in Public case studies, Ottawa Things to Do, they're fine. Their traffic has not been impacted. In fact, if anything, She Knows SEO is doing better than ever, which is weird because if they wanted to kill SEO, maybe target sites, and I'm not giving Google any ideas. So Google, close your ears right now. But maybe like go after sites that are teaching SEO would like kind of be a way to have thought of it. I will say like many sites that have been hit, I think are just as great as my sites. Many sites that haven't been hit shouldn't be getting the traffic they're getting. So I fully understand frustrations as well that people have with, I feel like people polarize themselves by saying like everything that's ranking is terrible. No, some stuff that's ranking is great. The problem is that there is, it's very different. And a lot of it, unfortunately, can be quite gamified. And that's where we do end up with some spammy AI sites ranking. So that was a very long-winded way of saying, I don't think SEO is dead, but I do not think it is anything like what it used to be. I do not believe that nowadays it is that like get 1 million page views a month strategy and like fully fund your business from it. I think it's a part of the salad, but it's not like the whole salad.
Yeah. Can you extrapolate from your understanding of what has changed? Like, why was, like, why is She Knows SEO okay and like Nina Out and About isn't?
Yeah.
So, because I know like some of us might be feeling like, okay, it's unfair. Like my traffic is gone, but Bob, Sue, and Sarah, they're fine. Maybe they're even doing better. So, can we understand why this is? And this will also help us to hopefully understand what we can even do about it,
Yeah, I think that one of the problems is there's not just one thing. And so that's the first hard thing, is that every time we've had an update before, there was kind of one thing we could do. Like with the product review update, you could just write better reviews. With this, it's really the whole site. So for She Knows SEO, I write all of the content. And yes, I use AI, but it's still me working with AI. AI is never just writing the content for me. I don't really do a lot of link building on tier 2 or tier 3 links. And that's more like guest posts, collab posts, which I don't think are terrible, but I think some places that you can guest post aren't as high quality, and that can cause problems. And I didn't do that solely because they don't really exist in this niche. It's not the same as other niches. So mostly it was like tier 1 links, which are newspapers, going on podcasts, even YouTube, stuff like this, getting like good interview links. I didn't just write for keywords. And I know you've heard that a lot, probably, if you're like trying to figure out how to recover traffic or what happened. A lot of people are like, write for your user. And I think that that is right to some extent, but I also think it's the type of keywords. So it's not just keywords that were easy. I've written for many keywords like, what is an internal link? I have no hope of ranking for that realistically with my like little baby site. When I first wrote it, like I didn't have the domain authority. I didn't have any of that, but it would help my users. So I think that there's that. I do also think having the community element and having people coming to the site, searching for the site itself as a branded search, coming from socials to some extent, I do think we're seeing with the algorithm that got linked that click data is significant. So that is a part of it for sure. And ultimately, I think it's that combination of things. So it's people spending time on site, sending nice signals to Google that Google likes. A little bit of it though, pure luck. Like that travel site, Ottawa Things to Do, that I have, I don't think it's the best thing in the entire world. I don't think it's bad. I think it is quite good content, but I don't think it's a perfect site. Like it is not, its page speed isn't perfect. It doesn't have like, it has some guest posts that I've done for it. It doesn't have any tier 1 links to my knowledge that I've actively built anyway. But it has its own kind of version of like the content is all for the user. It's something I've really done. I lived in Ottawa. I've done all the things that I talk about there. There's tons of original photos. So to some extent, I do think it's a bit of a mix, but the one thing that I can really see is consistent between that site and She Knows SEO, because the Ottawa site has no social media presence, to be clear, because I know some people are like, oh God, I've got to start an Instagram now. That's not it. I think the real thing is the type of keywords that were targeted, to be honest. Like I abandoned some of my own methods to some degree, where I wasn't just going for the easiest keywords. I was often going for things that were just logical questions people would ask, whether or not I could rank for them, because at least then I could answer the question and I could send traffic internally. And I do think that helped a bit. Now, for my sites that were hit, the things that I didn't do, number one, I abandoned them. One of the sites, I was trying to tell Natalie earlier what the name of it is. I genuinely don't remember. And that's not good. If you can't remember the name of your own site, that's bad. Like that's really bad. I also think like with one of my sites, Nina Out and About, Natalie mentioned, like it did get hit. It didn't get hit that hard. Like the HCU barely got hit, had some seasonality. Then I bought some spammy links, and as a test that I shouldn't have done, but I was a bit spiteful, I think that immediately, especially with this, would have triggered that it got hit harder. I also think with that one, I gave up on my strategies with it. So I let my writers write for any easy keyword out of a list I gave them. I abandoned topic clusters. I haven't actually like done stuff on that site myself in like over a year, and that's not good. Like that's not beneficial to anybody.
Mhm.
So I think even if you go and look at it, like it is not the best representation of my content because I haven't touched it in so long.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. So where I see the difference, and again, like you're probably going to listen to this and be like, no, but I'm doing all the things you're doing on She Knows SEO. Maybe, but I think every individual keyword needs to be evaluated for that individual keyword that you lost to some extent. And the problem is, even if you were doing all those things, was someone else doing it better? We also have to think about with these things, like it's not always about rankings slipping, it's also about impressions changing. So people are coming to whatever the query is. Think about like Toronto weather. Okay, you go to Toronto weather, you look at the widget and then you leave. Like you're just getting like, okay, I can wear my dress today, I'm good. But we're getting more and more widgets than we ever got before. And so even with the AI overviews, part of the problem with, I think, people getting hit as well, some people weren't really hit, but their traffic was hit. And so that means that their rankings were still pretty similar, but they're just getting less click-through rate. So one of the ways that you can test, like, did I get hit? Did I not get hit? Number one, go and look at your rankings. Did your rankings change? If your rankings changed, that means that something shifted. Typically, either you just lost the rankings. Like if it's like 1, that's pretty normal. Maybe that article just moved. But if you lost rankings en masse, that's going to mean that like you were hit to some extent by something and you need to pivot and like either redo the content or adjust a strategy. Something happened there. If it's that, okay, rankings are the same, impressions drop though. And impressions are anyone searching the term. That's probably seasonality. So, or even just that it's not like big anymore. So for example, I wrote an article on the Google algorithm leak. Right now it's gotten about like 12,000 page views this week just for that one article. And that's going to go away. So like it's ranking number 1 right now. I expect it'll move a bit, but even if it stayed ranking number 1 in a month, we're not going to be searching that the same way we are today, because today this is this big deal. In a month, there'll be something else Google's done that's weird that we're all searching for instead. So it could be seasonality. It could be a topic that just like isn't relevant right now. Then if your impressions are basically the same, your position is basically the same, but your clicks, that's people actually coming to your site, that changed. Typically, if it's dropped, that would usually mean people are still searching it, but they're not clicking on your site. And so if your rankings went down and your clicks went down, that makes sense. People click less for lower things. But if you're still ranking number 1 and you're getting like 10% of your old traffic, go search the term, because often it means that either it's triggering the AI overviews, which are currently only available in the US. So you have to use a VPN to get them. And they just had to like lower it a bit because they also released a half-assed apology for how bad those were, which was interesting yesterday. But it could also mean that there's like a new widget in front of you. They might have even just reorganized it. I'm seeing YouTube outrank like physical blog posts a lot more now. So sometimes it is just like the actual search landscape got completely changed.
So with all of that in mind, what can we actually do?
I think the best thing is to diversify. So I'm not saying like abandon Google entirely. Definitely. I mean, I know my business is SEO, and it's not just because of that. I genuinely like SEO. Unfortunately, I'm quite a data nerd. But I also think like it's a good basis. And remember that SEO is not just Google. Like there's Bing, there's DuckDuckGo, Yahoo just released theirs again. And also we're finding that like with Bing, ChatGPT is pulling content from there. So it's actually kind of acting as a search engine for many people. And it might even work for AI search in the future. We don't know what's going to happen there. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. So really make sure you're doing more than one thing. And so historically, I used to say like do SEO, hit 30,000 page views a month, and then launch a newsletter. And then around 50,000 page views a month, start like selling products to your people. Now I would say like take ownership of things a lot earlier. I definitely wouldn't start diversifying traffic like day 1, because you're still learning writing a blog post. You're still like figuring stuff out. So I pick one thing to start, and then anywhere really where you feel confident, but I'm going to pick an arbitrary number because new sites as well are not having problems with Google yet. If your site is under 6 months old, you are fine. You are flying as ever. But with that, typically, I don't know, I'm going to pick a number and probably 10,000 page views, but I would even personally, honestly, start a lot sooner than that. Pick a second traffic source. And for me, that's usually a Facebook group because it's what I understand to start with. It's something that I also just love Facebook. I'm 90 living in a 28-year-old's body, but I love Facebook groups. But it could be something else. It could be YouTube. It could be Pinterest. And it does depend, number one, on your niche. So certain things are not going to do well on certain platforms. So like Pinterest, first of all, like SEO can do okay there, but it's not going to do the same way as like
YouTube's probably better.
Exactly, because like really, what pretty pictures do we have of this Google algorithm leak other than like me
My face crying?
Yeah, I was gonna say me sobbing with like black mascara running down, but like that doesn't work for like an internal
makeup
link.
routine for checking your Google Analytics. Waterproof mascara. Write that down. That's
We
an
need
ad
to do that.
idea.
We need to do that. We've been writing down a whole bunch of ideas for fun YouTube videos to film around this stuff, but essentially like pick something that works, but you also have to figure out, like, okay, where is your audience, first of all? So also think of their age and stage. Like for me, I'm okay targeting slightly older audience, but if you're targeting someone who's like 18, 20, they're probably not in a Facebook group. They're probably more on TikTok. They're probably on Instagram. Substack might be a thing now, apparently. I don't know, don't really understand, but pick somewhere where your audience already is. But also make sure it's in your wheelhouse. So like I have aphasia, so I actually don't think in pictures. Like I can't visualize things. I don't know how to. So for me, pictures are really, really hard. For someone like Natalie is so good at visualizing things and like branding and thinking of like colors. I don't understand it. So for her, Pinterest makes a lot more sense than it would for me. And I think it's okay to like, for sure, long-term diversify to everything that you can. But for that first and second thing, don't make it something that you're completely incapable of. Like try to lean into your zone of genius to begin with, because you want to have like a slightly easy win to start. Then I would say kind of like once you've got those two traffic streams, take ownership of your income. And so it used to be, and I was definitely like guilty of this too, that we would all wait until we were with an ad network. So we would wait until we got to Mediavine or Raptive, but that takes a ton of traffic. And even with like Mediavine's journey, which like I have found a code file that has all of the journey sites, and I'm currently doing a big analysis of them because I am a very fun person and data is fun for me. But because of that, you had to wait a long time and you could actually sacrifice quality. And I know many people too, like they hate seeing ads on sites. And like, I'm not that person. I'm like, get your money, please. But I know many people aren't like that. So the other thing that you can think about there is creating a digital product. Create something where you own the traffic source, you own the audience. So a newsletter will definitely come in there. However, I will say this, because a lot of people say like, newsletters is like you own your traffic. Number one, you don't, because you're paying to put it somewhere. Number two, there's algorithms within email to some extent as well. Like typically if you say the word money, it'll suppress it a bit. If you swear, it might suppress it a bit. Nothing crazy, but like there's
not yet.
Yeah, I mean, but there's definitely a tiny bit of an algorithm there. And then number three, if you don't have people coming to your site already, how are you getting them to the email list? So like, and that could be paid ads, whatever, that's another thing. But with monetization, I think owning your income source is important. So I personally would start with affiliates a little bit. That way you're kind of testing the waters, seeing what your people are buying, what their problems are. And it's a bit more passive. But as we saw with like Airbnb shutting down or Amazon slashing their affiliate rates, like you don't own that. So the safest way for you to stay safe in your business and to stay profitable is to diversify your traffic sources and then own your income source. So creating a product, creating a membership, creating a paid newsletter, creating a paid community somewhere. There are so many cool ways that you can do this. Like there's itinerary planning for travelers. There's like, I had someone recently contact me and was like, hey, could I pay you to set up a Facebook group for me? And I was like, what? Like that's not something I ever considered being an income source, but there's so many things out there. And just remember that like, we're doing like a big thing in my main course about how to create digital products. And a big thing that's come up is people are so afraid of like, what if someone doesn't buy this? Why would people spend money on me? Why wouldn't they? Like my sister and I went to Walmart recently and bought matching cow onesies for no reason. Like that was $30. Neither of us needed to spend. So like people spend money on unhelpful things. Like you're not in control of their finances. You don't have to worry about how they're spending their money or why. You just want to make sure you're helping them. And most people will pay for a solution to a challenge or a problem. And I was recently at an SEO conference where I love the SEO world. Some of us were a little bit more black hat than others. And so they were talking a lot about like how to create products in a way that's super passive and was not, I don't want to use the word scammy because it wasn't. They meant to create like really helpful products, but they were going to like kind of mass produce this. And so it's already starting that there's going to be so many different products out there from people that aren't experts. You're an expert in the thing, so do it. Like just make the product. I mean, you should be if you're starting a blog on it. That's definitely
all the people who all of a sudden are Pinterest experts.
No, that's true. Also, always make sure that you can like verify your expertise. So like for me, I would never claim to be a service dog trainer or expert because I am not certified to do that. The fact that Theo turned out great is because he's good, not because I really he turned out good in spite of me, if anything, like, in spite of everything I tried to do. But I can talk about traveling with a service dog because we've flown, I think, on over like 30 flights now in the last 2 years. So just remember that like expertise doesn't always mean that you need to, I don't know, have like a certification in something.
Yeah.
But some things do require it. And yeah, I think honestly, I love creating courses. It's a lot of fun. And it is a really cool way to be able to help your audience. I've been doing like some basic math talking about this stuff recently, but like if you think about it, if you have 10,000 people coming to your site, if you had 10,000 people walking into a physical storefront, like that's so cool. That's a ton of people. But for most bloggers, we're like, 10,000 people a month. Like, that's not enough. That's nothing. But if you can convert even like 1% of that, so you have 100 people then that are willing to purchase something from you. If they each purchase something that's $10, that's $1,000 a month for you right there. And honestly, if it's like, that's not that expensive of a product, so you could probably convert more people. So like these are all things to consider and ways that, again, you own the income source. So you then are not reliant on, okay, maybe Mediavine tomorrow changes their RPM structure. Maybe, I mean, Raptive and Mediavine, because of Google, both recently did have to change their RPM structure. Cookies are going away allegedly in 2025, but they've been saying that for like, it's like my dad saying he's going to stop eating bread to lose weight. He's been saying that for like nearly a decade. And I've never seen the man put down a bagel. Let's just say that. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but you just need to like, remember that nothing's ever perfectly safe, but the best you can
Nothing's permanent.
Yeah. Like the best you can do is try to own things as best you can.
I love that. And don't overcomplicate product creation, because I know that, you know, we can say these words like, oh, go create a product. You got this. You know, it doesn't have to be some like 10 module course. It doesn't have to be some intense high ticket coaching program. I say start super simple, right? Figure out what's one quick win that you can give your audience, one quick, you know, solution where they can pay you $9, $7, or even $5, right? So that could be a quick ebook. It could be a little one video lesson, like a printable planner, something that is going to save them time and energy and effort. And I think any of us are willing to pay $5, $7, $9 to save time, energy, and effort, right?
100%.
So don't overcomplicate it. And I think it's so, so important. Like I told Nina today, like I am so unbothered by this update. Like it doesn't even matter to me because this whole strategy of relying on Google has been dead to me for years. Like I don't even care. So, you know, like all I'm focused on is Pinterest because I know that my strategy works and my traffic from Pinterest is reliable. So like even today, I logged into my Google G4 analytics for the first time in literally over 6 months. I was like, how do am I lying? I'm like,
I had to take her through where to find traffic. It was amazing.
Because I don't check it. And like I went into my Mediavine and we compared to a year ago and I'm pretty much making the same money. Even though, here's the shocking thing, my Google traffic is down 80%, I'm still making the same money.
And don't bury the lead. You're getting like 42,000 page views from Pinterest. And Natalie's strategy is so amazing. She took so much time off to go like live life, explore the world, have these amazing adventures. And this is what we used to sell with SEO was like, okay, set it and forget it for 3 years and you'll still get traffic. Natalie literally did that with Pinterest. And I didn't even know before meeting Natalie that that was a thing that you could do with Pinterest. I thought Pinterest was like got to keep doing it every single month or everything explodes. Like,
yeah, I haven't touched it in a while.
But I think that's the amazing thing is that like SEO, first of all, again, SEO is not dead. Google SEO seems to be probably not great, but there are other SEO or search engines out there. But there are so many other options that are places for traffic in that sense. And there are there just are. There's so many options out there. I don't think blogging is dead. People love human content. And a thing that we're seeing a lot recently is people complaining even that like we're getting so many YouTube results when we just want text. So find places to do that. And people are often talking as well about like, okay, Google as a search engine sucks now. We're using Pinterest and TikTok. So if that's something that's of interest to you and you like creating video content or image content, it can kind of go on both of them. Like I know TikTok, it's not really an image platform, but they do take pictures, and Pinterest is not fully a video platform, but they take videos. So that's a really easy way to kind of kill two birds, one stone as well. And yeah, I think that blogging, it's changed, unfortunately, again, and it always sucks when things change to some extent, but it is also the cool thing about our industry is that we get to change and get to pivot and get to like,
learn.
I know, my ADHD freaking loves it. It loves when everything is completely new all the time. Yeah. Even if my bank account doesn't always love it the same way, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't think it's dead. I did get a question before this. I think I forgot to give Natalie about like, does DA still matter? Because DA essentially is domain authority. And that is something that in the Google algorithm, like leaked documents, they always told us that we don't have a domain authority metric. It's not something that we have. And then it turns out, yes, they do. It's called site authority. Now, we don't know, like I said before, we got like the ingredients for the recipe, but we don't actually know like the exact amounts or the time in the oven or any of that stuff. We just have like a vague idea of these are things that maybe at one point were in the recipe. They might not even be in the recipe anymore. Yeah. But site authority is in there. Now, I would say the Google algorithm docs were not that surprising. Like these are things that SEOs, we figured out over the years anyway. Like it was really clear that like if DA didn't matter, Forbes wouldn't rank #1 for everything. So we knew that there was some sort of domain metric. We thought maybe it was more linked to like number of links. We don't really know how site authority is like fully calculated there, but links are definitely a part of it. So like, yes, DA does matter. Now, a bunch of people recently had their DA like slashed by Moz. Number one, Moz is a third-party tool. And the way that it works, kind of number two, is it actually looks at the other sites linking to you and checks their reputation. Now, the way that it determines the reputation of sites, number one, links, but also number two, it looks at the type of keywords it ranks for and how much traction it's getting from Google. So it is very much like a Google authority metric attempt. Again, it's third party. And so the problem is with all these updates and so many sites getting completely wiped out from Google or having like a manual penalty or something, those sites have no authority anymore. So Moz has just kind of like redone its authority checking of like, oh, hey, actually that guy had a fall from grace. Doesn't pass authority to you anymore. Like no one wants Prince Andrew to rep them anymore, that sort of a thing. So that's going to take kind of the weight out of that. So you might have had like a DA of 40 before and suddenly it's a DA of 15. It's going to be based on the type of people that were linking to you. And many of them, maybe like their links don't count anymore. Also, a lot of people have been no indexing content recently. So maybe a link to you is kind of hidden a little bit. It's not often that like it fully vanishes, but no indexing can mess up Moz. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So authority still matters for sure. But domain authority was already a flawed metric. And to some extent, I don't think it's the thing to worry about. But I would say that anyone that's worried about DA or any sort of authority, get tier 1 links. So tier 1 links, again, news sources, going on podcasts, doing YouTube interviews. Summits and bundles can get you really good ones as well. Going and doing reviews for products of like, I did like a write-up for Try Interact about like how I used their quiz platform and loved it. And like we did like a full case study analysis. And that wasn't a guest post. Now, guest posts are not the end of the world though. Like you can still do them, but think of it more as like a PR strategy and less of a, like, I don't know, I get bonus points for like the number,
like
for
it's
their
Google
DA.
juice or whatever.
Yeah. And we definitely want to think as well, like tier 1 sites aren't just news sites. They tend to be sites. Yeah. But they tend to be sites that like get traffic continuously. They get their popular sites that continue to rank and continue to produce content.
Yeah.
And that was something I was seeing with guest posts, and especially with like link buying agencies. A friend of mine actually recently wrote me and was like, hey, I think I'm going to hire this guy. And I was like, don't do it. Because I went through and looked at all the examples that he was going to send her. And I was like, a lot of these sites, yeah, they're DA60. There hasn't been new content published on them in like 6 months to 2 years.
Are you talking to me?
No. And then they had, this is another friend, but also a Canadian. But then they also had like, the content was super thin, AI nonsense. It was like 500 words long, and they just randomly dropped links in there.
Yeah.
But none of those pages like actually ranked for anything. And the 4 things I could find some of the sites ranking for were like porn terms. So like, that's not good. Now, again, like there's always a middle ground with other guest posts, but think about when you look at that site, like, is this a site that I'd be like, mom, I got published on? And if not, if you don't want your name published associated with that site, if you don't think that their audience would like come to your site organically, even without Google like paying attention to that link, I wouldn't do it. And I'm definitely not doing guest posts or not permanent. I'm not doing collab posts or link swaps anymore. I haven't done them in a long time anyway, but I don't think they're worth it.
Okay. All right. Domain authority.
Yeah.
So I want to scroll quickly through some of the questions we are getting. So y'all, if you have more questions, just post them. If you're watching the replay, post them in the comments.
I'll come back and answer them.
Yeah, Nina is going to keep an eye. So one question we were talking about is like, where can we get traffic? So y'all know I'm all about Pinterest. So that's going to be my obvious answer. I would also say that YouTube, even though, you know, it's owned by Google.
That voice.
it is, but we don't need to talk about that. I would say that it's important. I would choose one of those platforms. I'm sure, you know, if you have a super young audience, that someone's going to tell you to use TikTok, right? So a great question that Marcus had is in terms of that traffic. Do you have alternative traffic sources? I just wonder, since it seems risky to rely on Pinterest only. I would say it's way less risky than relying on Google. And just that it doesn't, you know, to me, like, Pinterest doesn't seem so flaky and like it doesn't like flip the whole table. And like, yeah, the platform goes through changes, but my strategy, the one I'm using today, is the same strategy I had 8 years ago. It's algorithm proof. Like, and I can show you that in my traffic. Like nothing, I have not been negatively impacted massively by any Pinterest changes. Yes, there are algorithms on that platform, but because I think that platform is more human driven and it's not like this corporation AI mindset of like robotic answers, right? And just like
you also drive into your email list too.
Yeah, and I do.
So it's not like, so Natalie's also done kind of the other option of get a ton of people, but then capture them as quickly as you can as well.
For sure. Yeah. And I think like why I like Pinterest is that it kind of speaks to, you know, Wonder Woman, amazing name. What you're saying is like, to me, think about it like, if you call any 1-800 number and it's a robot, what am I saying? Talk to a human. Yeah. Like I can't be bothered, you know, because like, and to me, like, that's why I like Pinterest, because I'm able to just create content for another human. Yeah. You know, and I was even saying this earlier, like I'm unbothered. Now I might actually start blogging again. I haven't posted in 6 months, but like now I don't have to worry about following this formula of like, oh, I need to have a keyword every 200 words. And oh, I have to include all of this and I have to do this and I have to do that. And it's like, I think a lot of that trying to pray to, you know, the Google gods or to the algorithm is hindering our ability to just create good content, to create content for people, and to create content that we actually love. And to me, that's why I gave up on I haven't been doing this song and dance for years. And now I'm like, I think if we can think about it as being like unshackled and just untied and so reliant on these set of rules, that now we can maybe just create good content. And it actually brings me to a question and something that you mentioned, Nina, about, you know, the user. and building community. And like you did mention that I have an email list. Yes, I've grown an email list. And I think we all need to focus on that. But how do we create content for people, for the user, right? And how do we build community, with our content? Because I think that's the goal. The goal is to build community. Because here's my question. If you are someone who's had a site for however many years and you're like, oh, I got 50, 100K, 200K clicks a month, and your traffic is gone and you're left with nothing, how did you not build in like redundancies and a security blanket, which is your email list, that you could just say, hey y'all, I created this new product and I send an email and you make money, right? Yeah. So how do we create community with content?
I think that's such an important point, and something we talked about earlier as well, like Natalie and I, when we were chatting. It's really depressing seeing so many people be like, okay, I'm done. Like this is it. I'm tapping out. My site was doing so well and now it's done and I'm out. And I think that the amazing thing, and someone said this somewhere in one of my Facebook groups, and I'm very much paraphrasing, they said it better than I do, but they're like, real entrepreneurs pivot. Like that is something that like you have to keep moving and changing with the times. And it is kind of the nature of what we do, is that, yeah, it's not the most stable thing in the world. Like that is not what online business really is going to be. There's always going to be something that you have to do to keep updating. But even if we think of like nomadic Matt, so like I'm going to use travel examples because like that's what I've been paying attention to a lot recently, because Google has been coming at travel for some reason. But with him, like his traffic got slashed in both the HCU and the March core update. I have not seen him out there complaining the same way I've seen other people. And I'm not saying it's bad to complain. I think it's bad to keep things inside. It's totally okay to complain for sure. But he has such a diversification for his traffic, for his income. There's multiple books that they have. There's multiple courses out there. They have so many affiliates. They don't just rely on ad income. There's a bunch of different platforms they get people from, and their newsletter is huge. So like that site has this full business mentality. And I think that that's the thing, is like a lot of us treated our blog like it was our baby. And I hear that so often. I've said it too, honestly. I, looking back, wish I had sold my main blog last summer when it was like at its peak, but I was like, oh, but it has my name on it, or it's my baby. It's like, no, it's not. It's a business. Like it just isn't.
This was literally me an hour ago. I don't want to sell my blog.
I was trying to convince Natalie about it, but as one option. I wasn't forcing, but I do think it's important to think of a lot of this stuff with the community building as well. As like, it's, first of all, most of us start our content to help people. We see a gap, we want to help. People who get into this, they're just like, this is easy money. Those people didn't survive this because it's not easy money anymore. And yes, that there are some ways that you could try and make it that, but I don't think it's going to be, I don't think it'll ever be as easy as it once was. It's just SEO, any other source, I don't think it's going to be easy the way it used to be. But with the community side of it, like, you saw something that you wanted to fill and help people with. And so that's really what you have to keep coming back to. So my thing, whenever I start a site, the first thing I do is I create an audience avatar. So I sit there and I go, who am I talking to? Like, who is this person? And I picture someone like as real and tangible as Natalie sitting next to me, and like go, okay, that's the person I'm helping. And then everything else I do around content is to serve that person. So I'm not going to write something just because it's fun for me, or just because I'm like, hey, I went to Italy and like drank too many cappuccinos. They don't care. That doesn't matter to them. I can drop that in. I mean, I put that in the Google algorithm update for some reason when I was rereading it this morning. I was like, why did I write that? But I was delirious trying to get it up really fast. But you're writing for them and to help them. So a lot of it does come from like that quality content that's going to be on your website. Then you have to get people to see it for sure. So kind of going back to that traffic question, there are so many ways to get traffic. Like, and again, there's no wrong ways to get traffic. There's just wrong for you. So like Pinterest is amazing. And like Natalie and I are working really hard to like get me to stop being afraid of it, first of all, because I don't think it's as big of a deal as like, you just create mental blocks after 6 years of being afraid of something. But like with YouTube, like I just started and I was terrible at it for like most of last year. And I'm just starting to get better at it. And that's okay. Like you're going to be bad for a while, but you're going to have that community that you are helping. So every video, every post is for them. Then you're going to repurpose that. So you're going to share it across a bunch of places so that they can find it in all the places. And then you're going to listen to them. You're going to talk to them. So like we're talking to you right now. We're taking your questions in the chat. We are not some like nameless, faceless organization like Google who's not listening to you complain about, okay, my mic wasn't turned on, because that has literally happened where I've gotten like 5 minutes into a live before and someone's like, hey, we can't hear you. So like we are listening. We are like reporting back to what y'all say. You're going to do the same for your audience. Like you should be someone that they understand is a real human being and not just an AI chatbot at a 1-800 number. So that's going to be a big thing. And then also just like being yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. So many people I know have a persona online, and I'm okay with that. Like share a part of yourself for sure. Now I am too autistic to do that. I don't know how to not be myself 100% of the time. Like it's just not something I like. Definitely I tone myself down a bit. I do like keep some things more professional, but like I think it's okay to show yourself authentically or show a part of yourself authentically. Obviously, privacy concerns and stuff, don't like post your address places, but connect with your audience and like show that you understand them, and then give too much. That's always the thing that I get accused of is like, wow, Nina over delivers so much. But people trust you because like then they come to know that like, okay, she's really going to help me. She cares to help. And so like my entire business started, and I have like a video I need to eventually record this, but I realize people don't realize it's like I started my business in Facebook groups. Like She Knows SEO, the name comes from people saying like, oh, tag at Nina Clapperton. She can help you. She knows SEO. That's how my business started. I was just helping people. And so it went from all those questions and turned into a website. And that's what most of us started with somehow, like answering your mom's friend's question or talking to like your dad's client's daughter to help them plan their trip to Italy or whatever. Like, so go back to that. Think about like what you were doing to help there. And really content and users should come first. And this is something I've said recently as well, is like, if you're not passionate about the thing, if you don't know the thing, don't bother. Because like when stuff like this happens, and I'm not saying that this is not hard, even if you got hit, like even if you were doing stuff well and like you care about it, if you got hit, it still sucks, but it's livable if you care about what you're doing. And like where a lot of people who, I don't know, I always use this example because it still like baffles me, where someone once asked me like, I want to start a Vitamix blog, but I don't want to buy a Vitamix. I've never used a Vitamix and I never want to use one. And I was like, then don't do it. And so those are the people that like, and that's definitely the model that I no longer see as a possibility with Google at all anymore. But yeah, I think that was a very long-winded answer, but I think community is like a thing that I care so much about. So definitely something, if you guys have more questions about, please ask, because I would love to answer.
So we got a bunch of questions. We're going to have to answer.
I'll be quick this time, I promise.
Yes.
I'll get better. I'm sorry.
So we got, do you think pumping out new content is a good strategy right now?
No, because if you're treating it that way, you're not answering questions and helping. So I think people saying like, I just want to like shit out 100 posts or something, that's terrible. So people genuinely say that. That's a common thing in the SEO world.
Like the problem is not just your lack of content. No. And by creating more content, it's not necessarily going to fix it.
Yeah. Like what problem are you solving? And if your site was like completely slashed by Google, we have seen no shifts and like no recoveries from the helpful content update. The March core update's a bit too soon, but we still have not seen recoveries from that. And if your site has a classifier on it, you're probably gonna have to wait for at least 1, if not 2 more core updates to have that changed. So the content that you might need to create some new stuff, but it might be for a new platform. So that's the thing is like, if you've always targeted SEO, but you're moving to Pinterest, you might need some new articles for that. I'm not saying don't make new content. I'm just saying don't make new content for the sake of making new content. Think about like, how does this help my audience? How is this helping with wherever I'm positioning myself right now? And I'm going to stop talking because I'm going to just keep going. Sorry. I'm trying to answer questions quickly. I'm not good at it.
So I would even say that maybe you can repurpose the content you have. So whether that's go make some reels, if you want to be on Instagram, or go make some TikToks, or start making YouTube videos, or, create pins to share that content on Pinterest, right? So I would focus on that. Yes. If like the issue is not a lack of content.
Yeah, if you're brand new, make content.
Yeah,
if you have less than 50 posts, pace it, but make content.
Yeah. So Courtney is asking, Will these Google changes impact smaller blogs that have yet to reach the larger monetization/ad networks?
Yes.
Like, for example, Mediavine, who also did recently launch a lower tier ad network, correct?
Yes, that's Journey. Journey is 10,000 sessions a month, and you have to run their Grow.me plugin for 30 days to qualify. So if you're near it and you want to join that, you would want to put it on your site early because you have to like wait that full 30 days. It is to some extent. Now, if your site's under 6 months old, sites that are under 6 or 8 months old have seemed to be totally unaffected, other than the fact that they still have to like fight to rank in the search results, but they're not currently seeing a downtick. So yes, your site could be 8 years old and just not have gotten into an ad network, and it would still kind of count towards being an older site. Now, I know a lot of people are like, ad networks are the reason that like things failed. She Knows SEO is covered in ads. Like, it is not a low ad density site, because I was testing something. I do need to bring it down a bit because actually Natalie found a bug for me that I need to fix with one of them. But yeah, I don't think ads are the problem, but you could definitely get impacted even if you don't have ads on your site. Google does not care about ads the way people think it cares about ads.
For sure. And if you are, for example, trying to hit that 10K so you can apply to Journey, then I would just start using other methods of getting traffic. If you have an email list, start sending your site links to your blog posts, right? You don't need to just send them a link to your new blog post, right? A lot of people join your list later than when you initially published those first articles. So another way for you to get traffic is to mobilize your other networks. So no matter what social media platform you're on, start sharing those links there. I feel like that's another way for you to start boosting traffic. Okay, here's another one. Is there anything that we should do differently to optimize for Yahoo, Bing, DuckDuckGo, etc.? The other, search engines.
Yeah, not really. They do have their own algorithms. I mean, Bing, you need to submit to Bing Webmaster Tools and submit your site for indexing there. DuckDuckGo and Yahoo have just like always indexed my site without me doing anything. So I don't know if there's something unique you're supposed to do to like initially submit. Rank Math seems to automatically submit your site. Then with any platform, what you need to do to figure out how to rank number one is look at who's ranking number one. So it used to be that the search results for Bing and Google were pretty similar, but now they're very different. So you would need to look, okay, what are they doing that's different? I'm still seeing a lot of like older SEO methods working over there. So like not keyword stuffing by any means. The only current place where keyword stuffing works are the AI overviews for some reason, which we're supposed to get away from that. But with Bing, you'd want to like look at the top 10. How often are they using the keyword? How's it structured? What are the top 10 results they're showing you that the user wants? And then always, 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 please make unique content, not just like that you wrote it yourself and like it's not plagiarized from someone, but like add something to the conversation. Like don't just say the same 10 things. I mean, I was telling Natalie this earlier, like my Google algorithm leak article is ranking number one, and it's ranking over the people that leaked the document, which I think is like a Google suppression issue, I will admit. But I think one of the reasons it's outranking a lot of like big news sources is because I don't just say, here are the 10 things we learned from it. I'm like, and then here's what it means for bloggers. I do an analysis and I give something new. And I think that that's the big thing that a lot of the top 10 results, and Nathan Gotch of Gotch SEO, he's been saying this recently too. I watched his video about the updates or the leak as well. New content. So like add something. And I would say that would be true of any platform. But yeah, check who's ranking. Sorry, that got
So
long-winded.
would you say new content includes updating your old content and making it more new?
No, because this is something we actually have been debating in the SEO world. So a lot of people thought, okay, take the old article, edit it a bit, republish it, it's new, whatever. It seems like Google is like, so in the algorithm update actually, or algorithm leak, we found that Google remembers the last 20 versions of a link. And so the problem is, if a classifier was installed on one of those last versions, it'll be stuck. And so we're seeing this with people who are like fully, and this is the thing with the classifier, there's no physical way for you to check it. The way you'll notice is that none of your new content can rank. You're just like stuck in what feels like a Google prison. And even updating old content doesn't work. One thing that could work is putting a new URL to that old content. So let's say it's like Google algorithm leak 1 or something. And then that makes it kind of a new address so that Google will see it as new. Now, another like more extreme strategy that I've seen some people testing, and I've started a test myself, is moving your content to a new domain to see if it likes it there. Now, the problem is no one's been able to test it for over 6 months because we haven't had that much time yet. But we are seeing that new sites with the same content, not redirected, just copied and pasted, and maybe like a sentence or two changed, are free of that classifier, but they might get it again. We don't know if Google just hasn't noticed yet. So I would say updating content, if you're doing it not for Google, yes, it counts as like new content.
Yeah.
If you're doing it just because it's 2 years old, that counts. But if you're doing it to like fix Google, it doesn't
play
count.
the game and to win.
Yeah, it's not going to fix an algorithm like attribution on your site.
Okay. Another great question. How long do you think it takes to get traction/traffic, even if you have existing content?
It depends, unfortunately. So there's some keywords you can rank for in a week. If you started a site today, I expect it would take you, with the Google Sandbox, usually about 3 months to start getting vaguely consistent traffic, usually 6 months for more consistent traffic. However, you can speed that up by going on podcasts, by getting link backs, by going in Facebook groups, by creating your own Facebook group, by going on Pinterest. I know people in Pinterest that like within 3 months, they hit like 50,000 page views. Those platforms don't tend to take quite as long as Google does to like filter things out. And then especially right now with how topsy-turvy everything is, like the search results, we have like these forecasters of like how volatile they are. They are like up and down. If they're not red every day, they're top of the yellow mark every day.
Yeah.
So I would say plan for 3 months, but it could be a lot sooner. So, and if you have like an existing site that you could use to promote it, or you have an audience somewhere you can promote it to, it'll be much faster. But to get, and it depends what you mean by traffic too. From this, I'm assuming like 1,000 page views a month is kind of the consistent. That I would say it'd probably take you a couple months to get there to start.
Yeah. And this honestly like brings me back. Like the whole reason I went to Pinterest was that I was not getting Google traffic. Like I wasn't getting traffic. My email list wasn't growing. I wasn't like, I feel like I'm about to like start doing my masterclass because I've memorized it essentially. But it's true. Like I wasn't getting any traffic until I went to a platform that was going to reward my energy, and a platform where all I had to do was make an image and write a title and a description that's only 600 characters or less. And, you know, to me, like that's a song and dance I can do. This whole, I'm just like, this is too much choreography for me. Like, I'm writing that down. I can't do this dance anymore.
Such a good line.
Yeah, sorry, y'all. I'm showing you what we've been writing down. These are all the crazy ideas I have for ads that I'm going to run based on this update. Okay, any more questions? How much traffic can you get from Pinterest? Sorry if it was already covered. I just logged on. So honestly, this is like asking how much traffic can I get from Google? How much traffic anyone can get on any platform for any particular keyword depends on a whole bunch of factors, right? I would just say that on Pinterest, one of those factors is not authority. One of those factors is not how many links are linking to your site, or how long you've been on there, or how many other posts you have, right? So traffic to any keyword or to your post that would be ranking in a search result depends on how many people are searching for that. How competitive is it? And how well you stand out in that crowd so that you can get the click. But to me, those three factors are way less than the 50 I need to contend with on Google. So, you know, like I haven't been really putting that much energy into my Pinterest. This is my low season. Like my site is all about goals and New Year's resolutions. And we just checked, and I think I had like 40,000 views. 42
from Pinterest, just Pinterest, which is amazing.
Last month. And it might be more because some of it might actually be categorized as direct traffic. Mm-hmm. So that was just for social organic in the G4, what it's listed at. But in my high season, I get over 100K views. Okay. It's just that this is not the high season for my content. So like I said, traffic can fluctuate because I don't have that many keywords for late spring going into summer because people don't care about their goals right now. They just want their beach body. That's it. I have a backlog of content that my audience has requested. Yeah, so creating that content is serving your audience.
I would make it, and this is the thing, AI, if it's going to steal your content, it's going to steal your content to some extent. That sucks. And honestly, Google has changed a lot of my perception of AI because they're using it poorly. And I think AI can be good. They're not doing it well. But regardless of that, if you allow Google bots to see your site or ChatGPT to see your site, it kind of can steal your content. So you can block it, but then you're blocking traffic from those sources as well. But they're also installing a thing on Google Pixel phones and Android soon where Gemini can actually interact with anything a user is on, any site. So to some extent, I've been waiting for the privacy policy to come out to review, but we are kind of just waiting to see. So ultimately, it's one of those the skeletons in the closet, monster under the bed that we kind of just can't avoid fully. You can do your best, but focus on your audience, and your audience will come to you. I mean, anyone with a course, we've had our courses stolen from somebody, trying to put it up on a spammy website. People still come to us to buy it. Number one, because we actually have the content, because those people usually just have the picture of it. But also because they want us and our help and our expertise, and your audience will come to you for that. So that's why we want to create a community where they're going to come to you and not worry about okay, ChatGPT could read Nina's article to me. I want it from Nina's words and I want to ask her questions about it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we have any last questions because we are at the hour. I have a few posts which are poorly optimized for keywords. Does updating such posts help, or is it a dead end for such posts?
It helps. It definitely helps. Typically optimizing for keywords is more about optimizing for the answer that the user needs. So I would say optimizing posts is always beneficial to help the user. But if you're saying it's not optimized for keywords because it only has one keyword in the post and you want to add it 4 more times, that doesn't help anybody. So also, why do you never reference the thing the post is about more than once? Then again, I could probably argue for that audience side again. It is typically better to update posts to make them more current, more helpful. And again, if it boosts your Google traffic, that is just a bonus. It's not, I no longer think doing things to serve the Google gods primarily is the reason to do anything. Your audience are God. Focus on them. So if it would help them, and almost always new content does help them, then yeah, go for it.
I love that. Any advice for growing a Facebook audience? I feel like it's so hard for us bloggers under 40, where the majority of our audience isn't in groups, nor looking for info.
This is such a common misconception.
I feel not quite 40 yet, and I am definitely, I would say under 25, 20s maybe.
Even then, I would say that so my sister is 26 and she joins all the neighborhood Facebook groups. She loves them.
They love Facebook Marketplace. Young people love selling ish on Facebook Marketplace.
I often make the joke that I'm 90 and love Facebook because I think that's funny to say. Actually, every demographic is on Facebook. If you know of Pax Gabby Beckford, she has the Gen Z Travel Network, which is literally a Facebook group for people who are only Gen Z. You have to verify your age to get into it. So I barely made the cut because I'm just above Gen Z, but she was you can come in. So people of all ages and stages are on every platform. And I find you just have to find your people. So for me, technically, I probably, Facebook isn't the best place for SEO. Twitter is. However, I like Facebook better. So I made it a place for SEO for my people. So to some extent, that's fine. Now for Facebook audiences, I do groups. I don't do pages. I'm not really a fan of those. With a Facebook group, there is kind of an SEO element. I will always bring things back to SEO because data and it makes sense in my head. Give it kind of an SEO optimized name. So something someone would search for. So if I called it let's say for Natalie, we're making a Pinterest group. If I called it, thousands of images pretty, what is that? Who's searching that? No, but someone's going to search Pinterest for bloggers make $10,000, I don't know, whatever, call whatever, but you want it to be something, oops, sorry, I kicked something.
That's okay.
Speaker. You want it to be something succinct. So like not crazy long, but something that is searchable. So like if I was starting one for golden retrievers, golden retriever needs to be in the name. I'm not
Who like being under tables.
I'm not going to call, he's paused literally like on your chair. It's so cute. But I'm not going to call it like Theo's friends, because that's not searchable. Other people don't know who Theo is, but I will call it like golden retriever friends, because other people with golden retrievers will know what that is. So that's one thing. Then you're going to optimize the description of the group. Again, try and fit in a couple kind of searchable keywords. You're going to make a pretty picture for like the banner of it. That way it doesn't look spammy. And then you're going to post all the freaking time, at least bare minimum 3 times a week. I would post once a day. Share it with your family. Family can still join. My mom's in my SEO Facebook group. None of y'all know who she is because we have a different last name. She comments and likes more stuff than she should for a group where she doesn't know what SEO means. I love her. If you're watching this, Mom, I'm sorry for outing you to some extent, but it's really funny. But like your family can join the group. Share it with your friends. Post it on your Instagram. Post it like on your blog, and then get people there that way as well. So basically make the community and then shove it out there. Then in your like newsletter, when you have the people sign up for your email list, the confirmation, join my Facebook group. When you go on podcasts, like I'm here, I've mentioned my SEO for Travel Bloggers Facebook group multiple times. I'm telling you guys about it, so you go there. So same idea with having your own group. Send people there. Reference it all the time. Treat it almost like a freebie where you're like really making it clear they should go there. And and then make it a fun place where people will share it. Like a lot of people find my Facebook group not because I promote it anywhere, just because they searched. Okay, could you not come here and burp? That's really really rude. I don't know if y'all heard that, but that was so rude, Theo. Long-winded answer, but that's my strategy. And then I use what's called a micro group, where I keep it really niche, and then I try to keep it under 10,000 people, because I don't want to hire a bunch of moderators. And I find that like I have a group of 2,000 people that drives about 10,000 page views a month, and I don't really post in it as much as I should. I think I remember maybe twice a week, and I just schedule it in there, and then I'm done. And then I reply to comments. That's the biggest thing, is when they do post, interact, because that's the point of it. So comment on their things. That's usually how I get people to go read stuff or click affiliate links, is always in the comments. The actual posts themselves are less the point of it after a period.
Love that. Okay, maybe I need a Facebook group.
We'll make you one. Don't worry. We're gonna ruin each other's lives with all the channels we keep giving each other.
I love it. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. We've talked about it. If you want to, check out Nina's epic article, I'm going to make sure it's down there in the description. And Nina, you have a gift for us. Right?
Don't turn on the extra voices.
I'm just trying to bring it up. Your SEO audit.
Oh, yes, I can bring that up here. That should bring it up on the page. There it is. Yes. So if y'all want to grab my SEO content audit checklist, this is more of an audit just to make sure that your blog is up to date and everything is helpful to your audience, so that it's speedy, so that ads can run and make you more money, so that you make sure that images load and that it's accessible to people. It is a 12-page completely free checklist that will take you through step by step my exact strategies to update content and keep it helpful for everybody. So y'all can grab that.
That's awesome. I also feel like you should add on your page here that it's not just about Google. So yes, I know I've been using the phrase SEO almost interchangeably with the Google search, organic search results, but SEO is relevant to every single platform, right? So by using this checklist, you're making your site better for Pinterest, better for YouTube, better for any single person who's going to click and go there, right? Because a faster, leaner, meaner site is going to just, in the end, give you more traffic and help you to build your community, right? So,
100%.
I am definitely going to download that, and I want to do a nice little audit of my site. So if y'all found this helpful, be sure to click and check out Nina's site, check out Nina's YouTube channel. I'm going to put all the links in the description of this video. If you have questions because you watch the replay, leave them down below for Nina. And of course, hit that subscribe button if you are looking for tips to help you to grow your Pinterest. And give this video a thumbs up. So it'll help it show up in search results and help other people too. And leave us some comments, all right?
Yes.
So thank you so much, Nina. This has been a pleasure. I didn't even introduce myself, realizing that.
This is Natalie.
I'm your Pinterest coach, Natalie Bardo. This is my channel. I post weekly Pinterest tip videos, and on the last Friday of every month, I like to have a guest where we can just sit down and answer questions. All right. So wishing y'all a wonderful day. See y'all around.
Bye.
Bye.